move on to a couple combat related things from your career. Just kind of like you were talking about those that chunk after you became an operator. Was there any mission that stood out to you where you thought, man, we are not like this is as bad as it's gonna get. We're not making it out of this one, or was it pretty? You guys just had such an edge. You waxed whatever target you came up on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say with an enemy engagement that I was ever like, oh, we're not getting out of this. But I'll tell you this, nobody can kill Americans like Americans. And there was a time where, um, gosh, it was, well, gosh, there was an M1 tank in the way. And I wrote a story about this called Face Your Tank. It wasn't supposed to be there. We were going, in Yusufia from here to here. We come out on this big open area and there's an American M1 tank and it's 3:30 in the morning. And we had to get through and it's like, okay, we couldn't get these guys on the radio. They're probably asleep in their tank. But if we're walking by and they wake up and see our heat signatures, they're just going to murder us. So it's like, what do we do? And I said, I'll just go up and knock on the tank. And everybody laughed like that's so stupid, but that's what we ended up doing. So I go up and it's like knocking on a tree. There's just no sound. It's such thick metal. So I took my gun barrel and then the guy's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" I said, "What the hell are you doing here?" You know, he's like, "Well, you're lucky you knocked, or we would have killed you." And I said, "All right, cool." So I mean, that's what I worry about is Americans and our gunships and everything. Um,
Friendly fire, yeah. That's what was the reason? Did they give a reason for why this tank was seemingly there for no reason at all?
I mean, there was a few of them, but this one in particular, no, I never tracked that down. I was just, but I've used that, as a metaphor for facing my fear of the day. Every day there's a tank I got to go knock on.
That's a great way of looking at it. I mean, that's an excellent way of looking at it. Like you said, they could have killed you. You still had to walk up there and figure out what they were doing there. One of the questions I enjoy asking guys from your unit, and I've asked, I think, pretty much all of them, when it came to dealing with regime loyalists, guys that were in like a structured military, they might just have been Iraqi soldiers. They're not fanatical or motivated by insane ideology versus the extreme terrorist or guys like Zarqawi, bin Laden, saw people's heads off, stuff like that. Did it feel better to kill guys like that than regime loyalists, or did it make no difference to you?
It made no difference to me. After a couple of years, I actually kind of respected the military guys. I mean, there's one in particular here that he lives here in North Carolina. Um, he defected during Desert Storm. You should talk to him. I'll put him in. He walked from he was a Shia, right? He walked from Baghdad to Saudi Arabia in Desert Storm. Long story, but he ended up in America. He didn't talk to his family until he became a language instructor at Delta. We took him back in '03 to his family's house. He didn't want to call them all those years because he thought Saddam Hussein, would be looking at them. So, from 91 to '03, we took him back and he shows up and they see his son. So I kind of respect people who who fight and who don't. The ones that are just like, they actually do grab kids or women a lot and hide behind them. And you just shoot them. It's not like the movie's like, oh my gosh, they've got it. You just shoot them in the freaking head. That's why we train so much, man.
Right.
Like the movies need to catch up. They've gotten better, but like that doesn't happen. Like, dude, you're giving me your whole nugget there. I'm gonna just your brain's coming out of your head in about half a second.
No, well, on the terrorist side though, I think like you just said, like there's a respect thing with the uniformed soldiers. In World War II, you had the Nazis, they're wearing uniforms. You had the Russians, they're wearing uniforms. You got the U.S. These are standing armies. right? These are trained soldiers. I'm obviously not defending the atrocities of any of those people. Uh,
Right.
and obviously, the United States is the clear cut good guys in World War II, as we are as the United States of America. But now we're talking about people, like you just said, they hide behind women and children. They behead people, they behead Americans. I mean, it just has to feel good to know that when you kill one of those guys, you're taking an absolute scumbag off the table.
For sure, man. And like one in particular, we had just cleared this whole village, nasty people, and we had done gun runs. I mean, it was like there's a bunch of them in this small village. You know, our intel is good. So like we always got our guys. This particular village, we just caught them a bunch of bad dudes, gun runs. So like we're coming over the berm right after the gun runs. There's dudes laying there with their guts out, like, hey, help, you know, and it's like good. And we clear this whole village. We get to the last one. And you know, when we talked about it later, like everybody had this weird feeling, but there's this woman, you know, and I'm like four in the stack, and she turns around and it's a dude wearing a dress with an AK and shoots my three buddies in front of me. They go down and you know missed me, but so we did what we did, flanked around. My you know my team leader killed him, but then there's a bunch of people in the house. So you know we set up like we do to take a house down, and we poke a hole in it with you know with the rocket, and it's this man. This is like it was either the pepper story or this one that I was going to talk to my therapist about. This is a tough one. So this house starts burning, and then you hear kids crying, and so I'm like, okay, they're gonna let the kids out, right? You know, I'm like, hey, boss, we need to get the kids out. Nobody did anything. Nobody knew what to do. This is still the one that just bugs the shit out of me. So I hear screaming, the house is burning. I don't know exactly what I'll have. I mean, we're evacing our guys. My good friends are gut shot and shot in the shoulder, and you know, like for the third and fourth time in their careers, you know. So it's just it was a very I still don't know everything that happened, but I remember getting high ground and this sort of old man. I'm proud of this. This is nasty, but I don't. I'm proud of this. This sort of old man came out the back. Now I was up high about 200 meters away, and I saw him come out and look around, and he thought you know, he was getting out, and I just you know I could have shot him right here, but I like shot lower and I just hit him in the gut, and I watched him, and then again, like I wanted him to hurt, man. And I still do because he kept those kids in that house.
See, that's what I'm talking about. The barbarianism is sickening of what these people are capable of. First off, I'm pretty confident I know two people who got shot in the story you just told. When we turn off the recording, I'll ask. I don't want to name them in case I'm wrong. I semi work at the same. Well, we'll do it when the camera's off. But um, that's what I'm talking about, though. You're dealing with sadistic, disgusting, evil behavior. Do you think the American public understood the animals you were fighting against?
Some do, a lot do. It seems like most do, but it seems like the ones that don't are the ones that it's like, why are the sheep giving orders to the shepherds, is how I put it, you know?
Unpackage that a little bit. When you say that, what do you mean?
It just seems like the minority, and I'm not talking racial at all.
Right, of course.
Like um, diversity is the byproduct of greatness. Okay, when we make a great team with dudes who are willing to go through what we go through. It's diverse. All right. It just happens like that. So, but I mean, the minority opinion is the loudest. I don't know why. I don't, in a sense, I don't care, but I'm still, it's just, that's where we're at, man. There's no leadership. It's certainly not me. Okay. The reason I'm here and doing this and able to do this and will boldly tell any story and have guys back me up. I'm not going to embellish anything. I did hundreds and hundreds of hits. I have them all recorded. Killed many people and will never regret that. It's the best feeling, the most indescribable feeling to do your job, what you trained to do. Go in there, crush them. I mean, it's like winning a football game, or winning a football game is like that, but it's indescribable to do your job, and come in and they grab a kid and you just poke a hole in their head. Like the best sniper shot I ever took was 2 meters, 2 meters away. I never took a long, sexy shot. I was a sniper for a while, but this guy grabbed his wife and was rolling, using her for protection, and I'm moving. And I didn't think about it, which is why it was perfect. I just shot him and his brain came out in his wife's lap. It was the weirdest thing in the world.
What do you think it says about a man that would hide behind his wife?
It's a culture that is different. And it's not the norm, because I learned Arabic after this. And I went to many countries in plain clothes without a weapon. Once I learned the language and the culture, I don't know. It was just, there's people like that in our country that would do that. The cowards, and those are the ones that seem to have the loudest voice.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Certainly on the loudest voice. I don't know if you saw the news recently, but there was a young woman that went to give a speech on a college campus, Riley Gaines, and she was just talking about, she was a former college female athlete. She's like, I don't think biological men should be stealing our spots in sports, and a mob essentially held her hostage. She had to be barricaded in a room with the police because they couldn't get her out, and the mob said if she pays us, we'll let her leave. It's like that. That to me is cowardice behavior. It's cowardice behavior that the mob behaves that way. And two, it's cowardice behavior that none of the adult men in that mob thought to themselves, maybe we shouldn't keep a 22-year-old young woman locked in a room because we disagree with an opinion the vast majority of Americans agree with. Sorry, that's a sidebar. I'm going on a tangent.
No.
But that's your point. That's the point
Yes.
You're making about the loudest voices. It's a fringe minority, but they just are so loud that they convince other people to shut up because they're fearful of that mob.
Yes. And stop it. Hey, men. Hey, if you're a man, stop it. One of my podcasts is a chaplain's assistant, my friend, who shot this guy that was dropping babies in Afghanistan. Nobody did anything. He's terrorizing the army at this point. This dude's called the baby dropper. He's a thug warlord. Girl babies, right? Infanticide. And he had done it before. So he's got a girl baby. And, regular armies are, sir, put the baby down, with the bullhorn. He's just terrorizing everybody. He had done it several times. My buddy shot him in the gut, so that he fell backwards and the baby lived. Chaplain's assistant, and he got in trouble.